Welcome into Rick Renner, Texas High School Hysteria. Make sure you tune in to our weekly show on YouTube and also subscribe to Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or wherever else you listen to podcasts. Just ask Siri or Alexa to play it. Joining me now, the pride of the DeSoto Eagles, Texas Aggie, Buffalo Bill, two-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 50 MVP, the one, the only, Von Miller. What's happening, big fella? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Howdy, guys. Appreciate you for having me on, man. This is super cool.
Always a pleasure to talk to you again. And this weekend on Saturday, another special day. It's Von Miller Day. I know it's a special thing in your world. Tell us about the day. And really, in my mind, every day should be Von Miller Day.
Honestly, every day is Von Miller Day. I don't have any complaints. God has been good to me and my family. Man, I got two young boys. This will be my 13th year in the National Football League. So I got a lot to be happy for. And that's what Von Miller Day is all about. It's a day for me to give back to the city that has made me, who I am today. It all started in 2016 after we won the Super Bowl. Came back to DeSoto. They proclaimed the day Von Miller Day, and I just wanted it to be, if I had a day in DeSoto, I would want it to be like a holiday. I would want the kids to be out there, and I would want it to be like a picnic and everybody just hanging out. So it grew from there, and here we are. This is our sixth one. Everybody brings out their kids. We got all the food spots in the city of Dallas out there. All of my favorite food spots, from Hutchins Barbecue to Smokey Joe's, Greener Pastures Chicken. That's my chicken company will be there. It's just so many different people that have committed their time and their effort to Von Miller Day. So I'm so grateful and blessed. And yeah, this is for the city of DeSoto. Not even just the city of DeSoto, this is for the city of Dallas. It's just a great day to hang out with the kids and eat great food.
We can't wait for that on Saturday here in DeSoto, Texas. Well, I know your foundation's a big part of all of this. You have done so much for kids everywhere. And we forget, because you're a big strapping man, you're so big and strong. But back in the day, you were kind of the Urkel of your generation with the big glasses and everything. Tell us about Von's vision and why this has been such a passion for you to make it cool to wear glasses.
Yeah, so when I was young, it was not cool to wear glasses. It was just one of those things that I just had to accept. And I wasn't fortunate enough to have multiple pair of glasses. So if you can imagine 8-year-old Von falling asleep in his glasses and mom coming to make them better and put them back on my face, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. And my mom, she would do her best to fix my glasses, but it would be tape and super glue and all different types of things on my glasses, and I had to accept it and go to school with that. So, I got called all type of names and geek, and these are just things that I just accepted. So when I was able to get into the National Football League, it took me a year to really figure it out. I had went to the Tim Tebow Foundation in Palm Beach, Florida, and I saw all the amazing things that he was doing. And he opened up a hospital, and he was changing so many different lives. And I was like, man, I want to be able to do that same thing. I want to be like Tim Tebow. Like half of the world, most of the world wants to be like Tim Tebow, and I'm no different. So it took me a year to really figure it out. And I was signing autographs one day. I took off my glasses, and it just hit me. I was like, man, I'm gonna start Von's vision. We're gonna give back contacts, glasses, LASIK surgery, and pretty much anything to do with the eyes back to kids in need. It started with kids in need of financial support, and then it just grew to just kids in need in general. Some kids need just direction. Some kids need confidence. Some kids just need to be able to associate with somebody that's wearing glasses that think they're cool. And so for all of these kids to really accept their glasses, the way that I did is super cool, man. We started off to help, one or two kids, and it just grew and grew and grew, and you get so many different people behind it. And I'm so blessed and fortunate, and that's what this time is about. Von Miller Day is just a way for me to give back to the city and the people that have given so much to me.
Interesting, because I think this is one of the rare times I've seen you without glasses.
Yeah, I'm just not getting back. I'm just not getting back from the Buffalo Bills like facility. I'm here in Buffalo, so I was working out, doing those things, and I'm rushing home. So I got my contacts in now.
Well, we appreciate you making time for us. I look back at those DeSoto teams that you played on. They were so darn talented. Signing day was like a whole football team in itself. And I think about you, Cyrus Gray, and some of those guys. You were also a big track and field star as well, with the hurdles, the triple jump, and the javelin. What an unbelievable athlete you were back then. When you look back at your DeSoto days and being an athlete, what is your fondest memory about high school?
My fondest memory about high school was really, of course, kicking it with my teammates and spending time with my teammates and, all of my friends. That's immediately where my mind goes. You'll never get those memories back. I mean, you'll never get those moments back. You'll never be able to, go back to high school and do all those things. So immediately I think about all the fun time that I had in high school with my buddies, my teammates, all the great coaches that I had that really poured into me. But it wasn't always easy on the football field. Like I'm going to school in Dallas, Texas. There was always competition. Everybody was competitive in everything. And when I was running track, it kind of humbled me and kind of helped me focus in on football because I was better at football than track. And then you go out there and you have to work and you have to get faster and you have to learn how to compete on an individual basis. And I think that really helped me out on the football field. But I just remember falling in love with the grind, falling in love with the adversity, falling in love with the moment that I had. I took pride in trying multiple different things, and not only trying, I took pride in being successful at multiple different things. And I think that was what really allowed me to be a better football player because now I try something. If it doesn't work, I go back and I try to figure it out. And I'm still trying to do that today while I'm on the Buffalo Bills. So all of these different work habits and traits started in DeSoto, and I'm just so blessed and fortunate to be able to have the type of cast around me from my mom and my dad to the coaches that poured into me, to my friends and to my teammates that believed in me before everybody else did. So it's super cool to really reflect on that and talk about this stuff with you.
It's funny you mentioned your mom. There's a story about you in the 5th grade where you and your mom behind your dad's back were playing football and you were able to kind of pull that off for a little while until you played in the championship game. How did you pull that off or dad didn't know you were playing football?
Yeah, my life is like a movie, man. It's really like a movie, man. Me and my brother, we play football at school first. You get like a recess and you go play football at school. And I fell in love with football then with all of my boys. And you could play quarterback, receiver, and all of these different things. But it was never organized. So we would come home and we would beg my mom, let's play. My dad would say no, my mom would say yes. And in typical super mom fashion, she signed us up and was taking us to practice all year long without my dad knowing. And I'm thinking this was, I'm young. I'm not aware of what's going on. So my mom, she would have us come out to the Suburban, drive us to practice, and have us change in the Suburban. I just thought that was regular. And we would change in the Suburban and go to practice, and then practice, and we get back in the Suburban, and she would have clothes for us, and she would just have us change back into our other clothes. And I was like, okay, I just thought like, I'm a kid, I'm not asking questions. But what my mom was doing, she was taking us to practice, taking us to games behind like my dad's back, and then we were like super good, and we ended up going to the championship. And my mom had to let my dad know because we're in the championship, and the rest is history. So shout out mom, shout out dad. I don't think it could have went any better.
What a great story. Another great story that's been going on in DeSoto is Claude Mathis and winning his first ever state championship as a head football coach. He's been doing it for a long time. You missed playing for him just by one season, but you know him well. How happy are you for him to finally get that first championship?
I'm excited, man. Coach Mathis, I didn't get a chance to play for him, but I felt like I did. I've known him 12 I've known him 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, a third of my life. And, he's always come out and, I've always been involved with the football team, and he's always done great stuff with our program. And Coach Mathis, it feel like it does. Now that I'm thinking about it, it does feel like I was coached by Coach Mathis. Man, what a great guy. He's so deserving of. He's always had success, but to have this cherry on top to really validate all the work that he's done and all the kids, life that he's impacted and changed, man, is super cool. And to have success and to be able to show for it, man, I'm happy for him.
And another person who was very special in your life is Pam DeBoard, who is the athletic director. She's got an unbelievable stories about you back in the day. I know you were fighting through asthma, during games. She said one time the paramedics were supposedly working on you on the sidelines, and then they were looking around. They couldn't find you because you were actually in the game. You wouldn't miss one play. How did you get through all that? And I mean, there was no way you were going to miss a play, right?
No, I've just always had this optimistic, attitude. I've always, it's always for me. It's not really about the fact. It was always about my attitude towards the fact. So being asthmatic and being allergic to grass as well. Instead of coming up
a football player that's allergic to grass.
It's crazy. Instead of coming up with reasons why I can't do it, I would always try to find just one reason why I could. And fortunately for me, I had my parents and so many different people that poured into me, like Mrs. DeBorde, that believed in my vision as well. So. It's super cool, man, to reflect on all these stories and all this stuff. Man, Miss DeBorde, she's been great. I've been knowing her my whole entire life. I'm 34 years old. I've been knowing her since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
So 24 years. And this is what Von Miller's Day is all about. Just the opportunity for me to get everybody back in one spot to, really love on them and give them their flowers and, to give back to, the city that has given so much to me.
Yeah, Miss DeBorde, she's traveled to a lot of your games, even when you were in Denver with her husband to see you. She's been that special in your life. And she tells me she has a special nickname for you, Precious. Now, that's ruining the vision that I have of you. What about that? Are you okay with that? You cool with it?
I'm cool with it. I know why she calls me that. She's been like my auntie or my my great grandmother. She's been like family for me ever since since I was that precious size when I was 10 years old, and I would come in there and ask her questions, and she would help me out with stuff. And I had an older cousin that was 3 years older than me, so it kind of started with him, and I was his little brother / cousin, and she took care of me too. And I come up through the same system, and here we are, man. So. It's my heart. I appreciate you guys, man, for really giving me the opportunity to reflect on so many different people that mean so much to me.
Yeah, I mean, she says the precious thing is because you have a heart of gold. But the thing that's interesting to me is we know how you are off the field, but once you get on the field, you're a totally different guy. Talk about that transition. How do you become that guy when you get on the field?
Honestly, I feel like I'm just that guy all the time. You can't really live double lives. And I think on the football field, I want to take advantage of the opportunity. I'm super optimistic. I believe we could do it even if it doesn't look like it. And these are just some of the things that I live my whole life about. So when you get on the football field, I got to make this play. I got to do it for my teammates. I have to, find a way to be successful for our fans. And I think those are the things that motivate me and allow me to be the type of player that I am on the football field.
Yeah, you look at that retired jersey at DeSoto. I know you're going to have probably many retired jerseys in your career. I know it's so special for you. A lot of the teachers, and talking to them at DeSoto, they say that, they called you the ambassador of fun. They loved you so much, but they thought you talked a little too much.
Man, I am. I've always been a geek / class clown / entertainer. Like I said before, when I talked about my teammates, you can never take things so serious, and I always enjoyed making light of something serious and getting guys to laugh. I've always enjoyed having a good time. Not too much time where you get in trouble, but I always enjoy just making the most out of every moment that I got. And I guess that's where it came from. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it did get me in trouble. But all of that stuff really makes me me, and even to this day, even with Von the other day, and even with my teammates here in the league, I'm always looking for a reason to have a good time and to celebrate.
Your mom and dad were amazing athletes, both in high school and in college. What kind of talents do you think you took from both of them to get to where you are today?
I don't know, a little bit of both. My dad is the hardest worker I've ever seen in my life. My mom is probably the most creative. She is a problem solver. And of course, they're both athletic on the football field, but I'm just thinking of from a mindset perspective, like I just got a perfect mix of both of them. My mom, she loves to have fun and celebrate too. My dad is a leader of men, and I think you mix all of those together, and you got me.
Well said. It's really interesting, and I know it's well documented, but, this amazing career and becoming one of the greatest defensive players that this game has ever seen almost didn't happen. You were a sophomore at Texas A&M. Big things are happening, and then you were suspended for the spring game with former NFL coach Mike Sherman. Talk about that process and how that changed your direction in your life, because you went home after that, and then everything turned after that moment, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Like any typical college student, skipping class, GPAs dropping, focusing on things that I shouldn't have really been focusing on, and not really putting football first. And at the time when he did it, I was like, man, this guy's crazy. What is he doing? Like, all I did was I was late for study hall or whatever it was, and he showed me like the track record of multiple tardies, multiple missed classes. My grades weren't good, and he really helped me with my perspective to really show like, hey, are you really serious about going to the NFL? Because if you were, all of those things come with being a great football player. You just can't be a great football player in the field. You have to do all those things just for the opportunity to play football. And just like a typical sophomore player in the league or in the college, I just had such a hard time with seeing things from different perspectives. I only had my perspective. So to see it from his perspective, and I trusted him, and he was a NFL head coach. Even though I was mad and I was pissed off at him at the moment, I went home and my dad, thank God for my dad. Thank God for having my dad in my life to help me with big time decisions. And, my dad said, no, you going back to school. And I was like, but I'm suspended. He's like, well, you just got to do your time and you got to work your way back. And said, if football really mean everything to you, then this is what you got to do. You're not just going to run from, adversity like that. And so I went back, and football was was number one thing in my life. So I just made a choice. That's really all it was. I just made a choice, and I never went back on that choice. I chose to really pour everything into my craft. I chose to try to make the most out of opportunity that I had at Texas A&M, and whatever came of it, I was okay with it. So I came back. I started working harder in the classroom. I got my GPA up. He put me back on the football team, and he changed the defense for me. So Coach Sherman is like, he's like your tough dad. Like, he suspended me, then he brought me back and changed the defense for me to be successful in the defense, and that changed everything. Led the NCAA in sacks that year with 17 and a half. Decided to come back for my senior year, not because I felt like I had more to do in football, or not like I wasn't ready for the NFL, but I just enjoyed playing football at Texas A&M. I enjoyed being a college student. I enjoyed Coach Sherman, and I went to school with Tony, Gerard Eddy, Cyrus Gray, and Garrett Williams, all guys that I played with at DeSoto High School. So this was like, it was one of those things where I just decided to came back to Texas A&M, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you go on to win the Dick Butkus Award. Got to meet him as the nation's top linebacker, setting all kinds of records at A&M. And boy, that tough love from Coach Sherman and your dad really worked out.
It really did, man. And you know, I'm just so blessed that I have so many different people that just take time out of their lives to pour into my life. You know, from my dad to Coach Sherman to Coach Mathis, Miss DeBorde, all of my teammates, like everybody, man. And I can sit here and talk about all the people that impacted me. This interview will be 3 hours long, 6 hours long. But
hey, we can go as long as you want, man.
I'm just so blessed. I'm just so blessed and privileged to, have these opportunities that I have.
So when you were at Texas A&M, you get a degree in poultry science. So how is your flock of chickens doing these days?
Doing pretty good. I got a chicken operation in Elgin, Texas. It's called Greener Pastures Chicken. When I had the opportunity to come back to Texas A&M, I took a poultry science class because my GPA was low, and it was like an average of like an A- was the average of everybody that took the class. And I was like, man, I could use an A on my GPA. That'll help me get back. Took the class. It was easy. So I used to fall asleep during the class, and in turn, my professor, he used to like wake me up and like make me like regurgitate and recite all the information that we just learned about that day. And it just made me into a chicken farmer. And I just remember saying his name was Dr. Farnell. He was a professor at Texas A&M, and I just remember saying to myself, like, if I get the opportunity to go to the NFL, I'm gonna start a chicken farm, and even if I don't go to the NFL, I'm gonna start a chicken farm. Like, this is what you go to college for. You go to college to learn something or figure out a craft to apply it to the rest of your life. And I remember being in there and learning about production and genetics, and I was like, this is me. I wasn't raised. I didn't grow up raising chickens, but I knew the very first time I saw it, like, this is me. This is what I do if I go to the league or not. And it's just one of those things in life where you just presented with an opportunity and you take advantage of it. And we all make bad mistakes and we all make good ones. Going to Texas A&M, deciding to make poultry science my major are definitely some of the best decisions that I made in my life.
I love it. And it's a good retirement plan for you. No doubt about that. Well, you talked about that quartet of players that you played at DeSoto, that you guys all went to Texas A&M together. And, Mrs. DeBorde talked about the story about how you were the only one of the four that said, I'm going to go to the Super Bowl and win it. And you've done that twice. How did you know that you were going to be the guy that was going to be able to do that and be a Super Bowl MVP?
Man, I've always been optimistic, and I've always been that guy to like shoot for the stars. Like, I've always been that guy to really just think outside of whatever vision that I had. I've always had faith in my ability, and I've always had faith in whatever team that I'm on. Every single team that I'm on, ever since I was a little kid, I watched the Little Giants when I was young, and it's like, no matter what, we can, if we do the right things, we can win the Super Bowl, or we can win the championship. And I've always been that optimistic, even when I had, bad seasons in Denver. Like, no matter what team that we had, I always felt like this was the opportunity to do it. I always feel like I'm never out of the fight. I always feel like I got a chance. And, it started, way back in DeSoto.
It's a beautiful thing. You get drafted by the Denver Broncos, number 2 overall. Ironically enough, behind Cam Newton, who you beat in Super Bowl 50 and took them down to win. Talk about your Broncos experience. What was so special about being in Colorado and being part of that atmosphere? What did you like the most?
Man, Denver chose me. And I didn't have a dog in the fight. They picked me. They came and they drafted me. They did their homework and they really wanted me. So, for somebody to want you like that and want you to be a part of their organization, like, I'm forever thankful to Denver and the city of Denver. I got Denver tattoos. I was in Denver for 10 and a half years. Like, Denver is me. I am Denver. Both of my sons were born in Denver and at the same hospital, in the same delivery room by the same doctor. So,
wow.
My life it will forever be in Denver. And, from John Elway drafting me to Coach Fox, Coach Vance Joseph, and Coach Kubiak, Coach Fangio, all the guys that poured into me, and all of my position coaches, Coach Richard Smith. everybody, Coach Pug, and everybody, man. I don't want to leave nobody out, man. But I could talk about Denver all day too, man. I love the Denver Broncos. I love the city. I love the Rocky Mountains. They're just so beautiful, and no matter what's going on, no matter if it's a snowstorm, rainstorm, windy, the mountains are beautiful, and that's a clear representation of my love for Denver. The Rocky Mountains. I always love the Denver Broncos, no matter what it looks like.
And you got an opportunity to play with DeMarcus Ware. The former Cowboy is going to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer. How happy are you for him? Because he's a Hall of Fame good guy, no doubt about that. And what did you learn from him to become a champion?
Man, I learned everything. I'm indebted to Marcus for everything. I don't want to be like a lot of people, but DeMarcus Ware is one of those guys that I idolize, that I want to be like, that I've always wanted to be like. Michael Strahan is another one. I've always wanted to be like those guys. So, but to have the opportunity to be teammates with my idol, like he was right here. Like there was no question that I wanted to be like him. I rapped my tape like him. I tried to do moves like him. But then when he got to the Broncos, I started to act like him, and have his outlook on things. And we talked about kids and finances and endorsements. We talked about pretty much everything that you can talk about. And it was because of those conversations that I was able to, have success later on in my career.
And then you go to LA and you win a Super Bowl with the Rams instantly, and you're with Aaron Donald, another guy that's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. Do you think you have the credentials right now that you should be considered for the Hall of Fame in the future?
I don't have any complaints, man. I'm good. I've already won. Whether I go to the Hall of Fame or not, like, just by being able to play, this will be my 13th year in the league, 2 Super Bowls, 3 contracts. I got 2 sons. I played for 3 great organizations. I've made lifelong friends with all these people. Man, of course you want to go to the Hall of Fame, but, they got guys, they'll do all the homework and do all the research, and, they'll figure it out. But I've already won. I'm content. I'm just trying to make the most out of, the opportunity that God has blessed me with.
After winning the Super Bowl in LA, it was a cup of coffee for you in your career. You were probably one of the most highly sought after free agents out there. And me, along with a lot of media people in the DFW, we were touting you to be a Dallas Cowboy. How close were you to signing with the Cowboys?
Yeah, I wanted it. I wanted it bad. Of course, I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, but, sometimes things just, don't work out, and it's not anybody's fault. I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys wanted me to be a Dallas Cowboy as well. And, I want to be a Dallas Cowboy, but, sometimes things just don't work out, and sometimes things are forced, and I didn't want to force it, and, but it just didn't happen. But I always had that little piece of Dallas Cowboy in my heart. I've always been a Dallas Cowboy fan my whole entire life. Even to this day, like, I watch the Dallas Cowboys like I'm not in the NFL. Like, I love Dak Prescott, and, Zeke's gone, but Tony Pollard's good, and I love that defense, and Micah Parsons, and, I love all those guys, man. So I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, but it just didn't work out. It was super close, but just didn't work out. I'm a Buffalo Bill now. Josh Allen there's nobody like Josh Allen, man. I love the guy. I'm enjoying my time here now with Josh Allen, with Brandon Beane, and Coach McDermott, and Coach Washington, and Coach Marcus West. Everybody's here. Everybody here is just so inviting, and this is the perfect spot for me.
Yeah, and this Buffalo Bills team has been a Super Bowl contender for many years now. It really seems like a perfect place, and a perfect place to do everything you want to do. Now, obviously, your first year didn't go as you wanted it to. You tore up your knee on Thanksgiving against the Lions, and nobody rehabs like you and comes back from very serious injuries. Where are you right now in your rehab? Because we're hearing great news that the knee brace is off and no limitations. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I've been through adversity before, and I think before it's probably a little bit more worrisome because you don't really know what to expect. Now I know what to expect. Now I know what things look like what things look like today won't be what they look like tomorrow or in a month. So I know to keep my head down and try to push as hard as I can. I work as hard. I work as hard as I can in the weight room, but most certainly when I'm in rehab and I'm with the athletic trainers, and this is my life. I'm a pro football player. I do a lot of things great. I'm a comedian, and I'm always yeah. You're supposed to laugh. I got you. I got. I do a lot of things great, but I'm a professional football player. So my whole day goes into trying to be the best football player that I could possibly be.
Well, I went to Syracuse University, upstate New York. I'm very familiar with these crazy Buffalo Bills fans. No one's more crazy, more loyal. They'll jump off of the top of an RV into a flaming table. What do you think about these Buffalo Bills fans now that you know them so well?
Man, I love Bills Mafia. These are my type of people, my type of guys. These are my type of fans. This is my type of team, and this is my type of football environment. It reminds me of Texas A&M. In College Station, everybody's all about football and winning, and that's what the Buffalo Bills are about. And it's just, of course, the weather is totally different, but I like to think that's my advantage. Especially when it gets cold and windy, and they got to pass the ball, and I'm rushing the passer. Like I feel like it's my advantage, so it doesn't really bother me that much. I've really embraced the cold, especially the Buffalo cold, because Buffalo is different. Buffalo cold is different than Denver cold. So I feel like I've embraced this place, and I feel like they've embraced me too.
Yeah, that lake effect off of the Great Lakes is a little rough there. It just never stops snowing, but it's so beautiful. When you see the video of the Bills Mafia and they're jumping on those picnic tables and stuff, what do you think when you see that stuff?
I mean, these guys, they come in the stadium too. Like you'll see guys like with Speedos on, and it's 10 degrees outside. Like, I love it, man. The energy is great, and they make Buffalo what it is. They make Orchard Park, and they make this environment what it is, man. We got the craziest fans in all the sports, man, and I love it.
One of the biggest outrages I've ever seen, in your career was the fact that you finished 8th place on Dancing with the Stars. Mm-hmm. How is that even possible with all the great dance moves you have?
Man, ballroom dancing is totally different. It really is, man. And just to have the opportunity to go out there with all those guys, man, it was cool, man. And Whitney Carson and Lindsay Arnold and everybody that really, took time out of their day to teach me how to dance, like, because that's a whole different type of dance. I've never did a cha-cha in my life. I've never did the Viennese waltz. I've never did any of those things. And it was great to, have the opportunity to go in front of America, go in front of the world and dance. Whenever somebody asks me about the opportunity to do it, man, I tell them it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, man, and to go for it.
Now, your sack dances have been very good, and those have been in front of everybody in the world. Have you come up with anything new this year? Because, it always seems like you pull something out of your back pocket.
No, I just try to take advantage of the moment. I just try to take advantage of what new dance craze is going. Like, I'm very familiar with TikTok and Instagram, and whatever everybody's doing, that's what I'm gonna do.
Vaughn, it's so great to talk to you. You're right now currently the active sacks leader in the NFL. It's been so much fun to watch your career, and looking forward to seeing you get another Super Bowl for the city of Buffalo.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man, for the opportunity to come on here and reflect on all the people that have given so much to me, and to really just reflect on my life, and just to really put it into perspective of how blessed I am, and the opportunities that I've been able to get, man. I don't have any complaints, and I just thank God for His continued blessing, man. And I appreciate you guys for allowing me to have this opportunity.
We're so blessed to be able to cover you all these years. Happy Von Miller Day. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Giggle.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vaughn. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for checking out Rick Renner, Texas High School Hysteria. Make sure you subscribe and never miss an episode. You can catch us on YouTube, Apple, and Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, or all the other major podcast platforms. Tune in, and we will see you next week.